fuel range for your boat. In this episode of the Boat Galley Podcast, I'll explain why it's not quite as simple as knowing what size fuel tank you have and how much fuel per hour you burn. Don't be surprised by less range than you think you have. This episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by SeaTech Systems. SeaTech offers cruiser-tested solutions for weather, navigation, and communications. SeaTech solutions include satellite internet, Wi-Fi, cellular, and single sideband. What's more, SeaTech offers do-it-yourself electronics consulting with custom wiring diagrams and professional advice for your electronics DIY installation and integration projects. Visit c-tech.com. That's SEA-TECH.com for more information. As a bonus, Boat Galley Podcast listeners get free shipping from SeaTech with the code GALLEY2019 at checkout. What's your real fuel capacity? And perhaps more importantly, what's your fuel range? Most of us know that the fuel tanks on our boats are spec'd out at, and somewhere along the way, we've probably figured out how much fuel we burn per hour at various speeds. And from there, you can come up with a good guess at how many hours of fuel you have and how many miles that might get you. Or can you? When we were cruising the Bahamas, it hit us that what we thought was our fuel capacity really wasn't. Barefoot Gal has two 18-gallon diesel tanks, but we can't put a full 18 gallons in each one. With the motion of the boat, some fuel will come out of the tank vent if it's fully filled. Even if we didn't have a problem with the tank vent, it's hard to get the fuel just exactly full, but not overly full. Spilling diesel in general isn't good, and it can lead to some pretty nasty fines. Consequently, we fill each to about the 16-gallon mark, give or take a bit. But the bigger discrepancy comes on how much of the tank is usable, for lack of a better term. The pickup tube in the tank doesn't extend quite to the bottom of the tank in order to avoid picking up crud and water that settles to the bottom. Fuel sloshes with the movement of the boat and will expose the bottom of the pickup tube if we let the level get too low. Then air will get into the fuel line and the engine will cut out. We've discovered that letting the fuel level get below about a quarter tank is asking for trouble. That's leaving about 4.5 gallons in the tank. So we start out with an 18-gallon tank that we only fill to the 16-gallon mark. Then we can't use the last 4.5 gallons. So we really have only 11.5 usable gallons of fuel in each tank. Wow! That's a third less than we think of our boat as carrying. And it makes a huge difference as far as how often we need to check the actual fuel level. Our tank gauges are notoriously inaccurate, and when we need to fill from our jerry cans, and how often we have to buy more fuel. Now, everyone's tanks are configured differently, so our numbers are likely to be different from yours as far as how far we can fill the tank and how much we can really use. For example, we were told that our Tayana had a 100-gallon tank, but we'd overflow the tank vent at 90 gallons. So we learned to stop filling about an inch below, which was about 85 gallons. And since that tank was an inverted pyramid shape, we only lost about 2 gallons at the bottom, so 83 usable gallons out of a supposed 100. It's easy to forget that you cannot completely empty a tank and think that you have the full amount of fuel that your gauge shows. To remind us that we don't, we put a note right in our measuring stick and also one in our trip log and fuel log, reminding us what level not to go below. Now, in a pinch, if we ever do get desperate, having 2 tanks will actually help us. We can pump that last quarter tank from one tank to the other, and then we're able to use it since it's made that tank half full, assuming that it was down to a quarter to start. Now, remember one of my first points about the reason that the fuel pickup tube doesn't extend all the way to the bottom of the tank? how that's where any sediment, crud, and water in the tank will collect. So be sure to filter the fuel as you put it in the other tank. We have an old Baja filter, which works wonderfully. Unfortunately, they're not made any longer. The best replacement that we've been able to find is the Mr. Funnel sold on Amazon, and I'm putting a link to that in the show notes. How do you get the fuel out of a tank? Well, I've talked about it before in the context of do-it-yourself fuel polishing, but one of the handiest things we've bought for the boat is a drill-powered diesel transfer pump. Now, it's important. If your boat uses gas, you need a pump designed for gasoline to avoid an explosion. Absolutely do not use the ones that I'm listing for diesel. What we've used is the Jabsco drill pump. You can buy it on Amazon. Again, I've put a link. We use ours with a Ryobi cordless drill and the lithium battery packs. We can pump out one 18-gallon tank completely with a fully charged battery, and there's still juice left in the battery. Another option is a 12-volt diesel transfer pump with alligator clips. Again, you can buy them on Amazon. We don't have it, but friends do and are very happy with it. The big thing is having power available for it. In a pinch, you can use a squeeze ball pump like you have on an outboard fuel line with open ends to transfer fuel from one tank to another. It's a tiring job on your hand, but it does work. Whatever pump you use, a weight on the end of the pickup hose will make it so that you can get all the contents out of the tank. Dave had some really weird fitting, basically a bolt with a hole through it, but a couple of stainless nuts will work too. You want to be sure to use something that won't rust. Make a hole through the tubing and use a piece of seizing wire to keep the weight from slipping off. All in all, it's better to know just how far your fuel really will get you and to fill up before you're running on fumes. Enjoy your cruising. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe in your podcast app, and reviews are always appreciated.